Greetings, geniuses. This video is going to cover another topic from the INFJ perspective, as usual. And I'm going to talk about the INFJ predictions and their accuracy. And I'm going to start with talking about some of the social interaction experiences that I've had, especially in recent years, 5 to 10 years. And then I'm just going to go into a few examples from the last few years. That way I can give you something specific. And once again, as some of the previous videos, this is going to be about some topics that I have to be careful about the wording that I use and how I approach it. Some of you already know where I'm going with that, and the rest of you will figure it out soon enough if you stay with me. So first, I want to talk about just some of my personal experiences from the last 10 years. And it goes hand in hand with talking about news and what we're able to say and how we can say it online and sort of the fallout and effects from that. And I would just say it's been a challenge. It's been a journey to decide what to say, when to say, how to say it, who to say it to. And kind of like many things, it just comes with practice. If you keep doing it, you get better at it. And of course, nowadays, there's many more apps available at our disposal. And every year, I felt like I kept graduating to another level of putting the word out there about certain things and knowing how I could get it done without basically being restricted. And it's a game that we're playing. And if you're playing that game with me, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. But there is a strategy in place, and it keeps on building, and it's a good versus evil battle. And from my point of view, we're absolutely winning, and I'm very happy about that. And it doesn't mean that there's lots of things that aren't bad, because there are, and I'm going to touch on some of that. But I do want to end with a high note, because I am still very hopeful about things that are coming and the progress that is happening. But like I said, just starting with the social ramifications of dealing in that world of trying to influence about others that are really things that are really happening. From my point of view as an INFJ, it's not like anything psychic that I'm usually trying to pass on to people, anything that magical, crazy, because whether it was, the topic was about aliens or just something really huge, mind-blowing, I'm not even going to talk about that kind of stuff unless I really have a lot of data on the subject, and I've been following certain aspects of it for a long time. Not just because I don't necessarily think it could be true, but because it requires a lot before you can even convince people that are open-minded to it. And so usually the things that I would talk about and tell others about and post online, they're more mainstream topics, and it's not because that's all I follow, far from it. INFJs are always looking for more information on all of the topics that are out there. But it's just that I think that we have a strategy in place, and we know the things that we can connect the dots on. And when I've connected enough dots on a certain story, something that's unfolding, and in essentially a prediction of what's to come, from my perspective, it's already been clearly proven, and the dots have already been clearly connected. But a lot of people just don't see it, or they haven't been introspective, been doing the research, or any of that, so it seems far-fetched to them. But personally, it does affect me, of course, to be ousted to some extent, ignored. Well, I should say it affected me a lot more, even just a couple of years ago, 5 years ago and more. But I've kind of grown thicker skin and learned lessons about not letting people get to me, all that kind of stuff. And now, for the most part, I feel like I can just speak whatever I believe to be true and things that I've gained from my experience in this world, and people can take it or leave it. And I'm fine with that, because part of the INFJ focus on the predictions and getting the word out there is to help others and protect them and just put the word out there ahead of time while there's still time to do something about it. But I've learned over the years that there's no need to take it personal if people don't want to listen or even mock you for it. And the best thing you can do is just have the peace of mind that at least you said something and did something, because a lot of people are not courageous enough to speak up. And in certain situations, to a certain degree, there's nothing wrong with that. And we all have to make our own choices. But me personally, I got to a point way too many times and just decided I was going to say what I thought needed to be said. And it's really changed me in a good way, because I've learned to be passionate and outspoken about it, but not in a mean way. And even if I get sort of rejected and ignored, whatever it is, I don't let it get to me. And it's only propelled me more to step out in faith and in trusting myself and my instincts, because I can honestly say no less than 80-90% of the things that I've predicted has come true for the most part. And unfortunately, they're not things that I want to brag about either, because, like I said, we're trying to warn people and help others. And so usually it's a lot of negative things, basically. And I've been accused of being negative also. But it's not that. It's not being negative when you're trying to help others. That's just the perception. That's how people take it who don't want to listen to cold, hard reality. And like I said, it's actually positive for me. And from my perception, I see all these things as necessary that have to happen in order for the light to be shined on everything and for us to get to the other side. But as humanity, we are going to go through this process. And if there's anyone I can help along the way to help them avoid some of it, then I'm going to feel great about it when we get to the other side, because it is happening. It's been happening, and we're going through the storm right now. So I said I would just give a few examples of what I'm talking about from the last couple of years. One, the big one of the biggest, the medical devices. Now, I don't know if you were trying to get the word out like I was in 2020 and after, but basically everything that myself and others that I was researching along with that said was going to happen did. And to this day, it's still being squashed left and right, but there's lots of places where the numbers are available, and it's just, you can't ignore it unless you want to at this point, and it's only getting worse by the day. So that was a huge prediction from back then when we were treated as crazy, and it's perfectly clear and proven at this point. And sort of one of the other side effects or other things that we were talking about was all the restrictions that were put on us and the destructions of our small businesses and economy in the process. We were saying that too back in 2020. And again, it's like a prediction of the obvious from my perspective, because you cannot do all the things that they did to our livelihoods and basically shut things down and not have a tremendous fallout from it, and only have basically the big businesses surviving. And those are hurting too. And, it's like a domino effect. And so, like I said, it's connecting the dots and really just seeing what is obviously going to happen when you look at both the micro view and the macro view. And as an INFJ, I feel that's something I just do automatically when I'm interested in a subject and am passionate about it. So that's what I've been doing. And so you can call it a prediction, and I guess it is, but from my point of view, it's just so far from being a psychic magical thing when all the signs are there. And I think as an INFJ, one of the hardest things I've dealt with as far as predicting things is that I've been so far ahead of 99.9 whatever percent of the people. And it's really not to brag. Again, it's not like we want to be correct about this kind of stuff. But even with a lot of our friends that agree with us, we have been so far ahead of them that they really didn't want to listen to it either. And they just wanted things to change immediately. But there I was talking about things like, hey, buddy, this is going to unfold. I hope things change faster than it looks like. But we're probably in for a long battle and long unfolding of all this stuff. And here I am today. I was hoping it would be done with by now as well. But it wasn't something I predicted. And it was always tapered with, this could be a slow burn, and we're going to keep on watching everything unfold until it gets to a breaking point. So that's what I'm still saying. And then the last point was about the world heading to war of some kind and more catastrophes, the shortage of products and such. Again, I've been saying it. Many others have been saying it for years, for a long time. And especially once 2020 hit, we were really starting to talk about it and shunned everywhere. At least that's what it seemed like. Even for those that were kind of listening, they didn't want to believe it. And here we are, years later, and look where we're at. And look at the prices of things, which price is a major indicator of that. So there's the evidence. And so, again, I don't say any of these things or try to get the word out about these things because I'm negative or hopeless about it. Because actually, I don't know if you can tell by my tone of my voice, but I'm actually very positive and looking forward to things that are happening because I've also connected the dots on who's fighting this war. And there are a lot of elements in place, and there's plenty that I have no idea about, and basically none of us do, except a super small amount of people on this planet who are keenly aware of everything that's happening and why it's happening and the battle that's in place. But most of us aren't going to know all those details. But I would just say, if you're an INFJ, keep developing your strategy to get the word out there, because it is important. And I know myself personally, I've had a huge impact on a lot of people, and those waves just flow out in unknown ways, and it will bless others, it will impact others in a good way when it's truth. And if you know an INFJ, you might want to spend some more time getting to know what exactly they think is happening and talk with them offline, some way that they can speak freely, not like I'm unable to right now, because I'm really not. And they might really be able to help you navigate the next few months and years, because I've done so much preparation financially, mentally, physically, and so many other ways that I won't list. And I feel like if somebody just wanted to learn some of the things that I've figured out and spent countless hours working on to better understand, I would really be able to help them. But the sad part is, a lot of people don't really want to understand more, or they just rather keep kind of living the normal life, so to speak. So I don't think I know it all, and I've been wrong at times, but for me to say that I've been, and I'm just throwing out a number, to say that I've been 80 to 90% right about all of the topics the last 3 years, that's being conservative, I believe, because I can really only think of a couple times that in a way weren't even necessarily major things that I was wrong on. And it wasn't much. So I could probably say 90% conservatively. And I didn't want to be right. But again, I think INFJs are a great resource for you if you want to better navigate what's happening. And I am super hopeful still, even after everything we've gone through, that good changes are coming and necessary, and that prices must be paid for what was done to everyone on this planet. And it has to happen. And there has been a very real game that's been played of 10D chess, because the infection has been widespread. And I'm not talking about the medical thing. I'm talking about sick people. And so I guess you'd only understand a little bit more about what I'm saying there if you listen to some of my earlier videos. But I'm still super hopeful. And even though things progress to some kind of boiling point, which is definitely coming, have no doubt, but now is the time to plan ahead and be ready for the transitions that are coming, and probably even a time where things are shut down. Hopefully not for many days, but it still looks like it's all culminating to a point where things are just going to stop, and the final battle, as it were, in transition, however you want to look at it, is going to unfold, because there's obviously so much happening, and it's increasing every week. So I hope this video is helpful for you. I'm always trying to think of another topic, another way I can pass on to you all the things that I've studied, researched, thought about, learned over the last many years. And I look forward to hearing your comments, feedback. Again, I do not claim to have all the answers, but I certainly will pass on anything that I think has been a success for me as far as learning experiences and just actual wins that I've had, how I can pass those on to you. So thanks for listening and supporting as always, subscribing, commenting, and please send any requests for topics that you have, because I'm very open-minded to your ideas, and I'm very much going with the flow every week on what the topics are covered or that I'm covering. So thanks again, and until next time, I'll see you soon, genius.